Welcome to Hospitality Reinvented, the new podcast and video series where we look to break the status quo and the old thinking that has plagued the bar, restaurant, and hotel industry over the years. I am your host, Doug Radkey, and if you want to know more about what we're up to with this new series, please make sure to listen to or watch back the introductory episode, as it will give you some insight into what we're going to be talking about on this show. So, what is on the agenda for today? Today, I want to talk about the acronym ROI. So, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the term ROI? I can estimate that likely 99% of you immediately thought about return on investment. Am I right? Now, understanding your ROI or your return on investment is obviously important. Don't get me wrong here. Return on investment, or ROI, is really this understandable and easily calculated metric that helps determine the efficiency of an investment in your business, whether you have a bar, a restaurant, or a hotel. This is a widely used calculation that is more, in more simple terms, allows you to compare the results and the potential results related to investment options when completing your strategic plans. And those investment options may be an investment of time or money or resources, or a combination of those three. Now, despite the potential risk involved with investing time or money or resources into your business, or to see a return on investment, takes action, and often massive amounts of it for it to be successful. That choice to take massive amounts of action is not without the risk of failure or loss of time or loss of money, but that is okay. We cannot be held back from that fear if the risk assessments associated to that investment are properly calculated, which leads me to a new way of thinking about what ROI could also mean and what should potentially be considered first when thinking about a potential return. What about the risk of inaction? Think about that. I came across this quote once, I think it was by John F. Kennedy, and he said, quote, "There are risks and costs to action, but they are far less than the long-range risks of comfortable inaction," end quote. Now, when you think about that, inaction surely poses a much more debilitating threat than actually taking action. Let's be honest, inaction can be very tempting, a very tempting course to take in business and in life, really. It means that you are playing things safe. It means you are comfortable. It means that you are potentially maintaining the status quo in your business. Maybe things are really good right at this moment in time. Why should you make any changes right now, right? Maintaining the status quo during times of economic uncertainty or change, however, which we've all experienced over the last few years and seems to continuously be doing so thanks to the ever-changing society and political space and the business landscape that we're all in these days. But to maintain that status quo can make sense, but it only makes sense if you're stuck in a fixed mindset. While playing it safe and not taking action may help provide you some short-term stability in your life or your business, it never pays for itself or sees a strong return on investment in the long term. That inaction will, in fact, and hear me out here, that inaction will 100% cost you extra in the long run, whether it costs you more time, more money, or more resources, or again, any combination of those three. The risk of inaction can cost you opportunities. It can cost you missed revenue. It could cost you quality control. It could lead to increased cost of goods or COGS. It could lead to diminished market share. Think about those decisions right now that maybe you've been debating about with yourself or with your business partner or your team. We've all got decisions to make right now. Every day we are faced with decisions, right? The question to ask is, what will it cost if you do not begin to take action on those items or those ideas? Now, looking back for myself, in 2020, at the onset of that global pandemic, I was personally left with the choice to stay an independent consultant, to maintain a status quo in my business, or use that very extraordinary time that was presented as an opportunity to grow my business. There was more than enough uncertainty at the time to curb my decision, but I decided to take action despite the potential risks involved. Now, we're a few years later from that decision. We're positioned as a global agency that helps hospitality businesses with their own strategic clarity. We are generating levels of revenue that I never even thought possible back in 2019 and 2020. All thanks to our incredible team and the trust of our clients and our network, of course. Now, if I didn't take that action, though, back in 2020, I would have continued being an independent consultant that would have likely generated a safe amount of revenue for me and my family, but I wouldn't have yielded nearly a quarter of the results that we are achieving today. Let's be honest. I also likely wouldn't have the time and the resources to continuously learn, to write books, to host podcasts, and the many other ways of giving back to the hospitality community that I absolutely love so much, because I would only have the time for working with clients and doing the admin work of operating a business. I would have been the one wearing all of the hats with very limited time, resources, and money. I can do all of these things more now because I made a growth-based decision to grow the business and grow the team despite the challenges that this industry in particular were facing at the time. And that decision positioned me to free up further time, which would then 10x the business. Now, during this same time frame, there were many bars and restaurants and hotels that essentially froze in fear of taking action during those times of uncertainty. Now, I understand there were some government restrictions in some markets throughout the world, but many back in 2020 and even 2021 made a decision to pursue a wait it out strategy. Now, here's the thing. Waiting it out can also limit opportunities that are readily available to you, maybe for increased market share or further stability in your business, or opening the door to greater risks down the road and more opportunities for your competition to take advantage of. Now, as we all know, there were also some during the pandemic that made a decision to take action. They were able to do that because they understood their target market, along with the opportunity for additional market share. They had strategic plans in place. They had contingency plans in place. They had strong culture in place. They had buy-in from their team, and they had the right mindset. Now, despite some government mandates, they were still able to create new revenue channels. They created new guest experiences. They integrated new technologies. And they, most importantly, they didn't play it safe. Now, looking back over the past few years, sadly, many of those that froze and who did not take action, many of those, that decided to wait it out are no longer in business or on the verge now of making a decision to close because of the financial debts they have incurred over the years, and they've just become too much for them to handle. The ones that took a calculated risk along with massive amounts of action, and to some that may have been required for them to keep survival going, they are the ones reaping the rewards of those decisions today, 2 to 3 years later. They've prepared themselves for this new era of hospitality by doing one thing: taking massive action. They fought the mental battle of inaction. How many times have you heard people, say the phrase, tomorrow is another day, or let's hope that tomorrow will be a better day for us? First off, hope is not a strategy. It's bullshit. Hope will unfortunately not get you anywhere in business. People say phrases like tomorrow is another day or let's hope that tomorrow will be a better day because people are often afraid of failure, even if they very well know that not taking action leads to failure every single fucking time. The question you should ask is, what if we don't take action today? What will happen tomorrow? What if we don't take action a year from now? What if we don't take action now for something that may be required 5 years or even a decade from now in this industry? Imagine if you never took action on your dreams or your aspirations in your personal life or in your business. What if you don't start that dream bar, restaurant, or hotel? What if you don't decide on that new piece of equipment or that new technology right now? What if you don't execute that marketing campaign that you're maybe on the fence about right now? What if you are afraid to post that video that you took for social media because you were overthinking it? What if you don't embrace digital and AI opportunities in your business right now? What if you don't promote that A-list employee that's just absolutely crushing it for your brand right now? We have to ask these what ifs and measure the results of not taking any action. So what can you do? The first step in fighting the urge of inaction is first adjusting your mindset. Today, the business world, for the most part, and for those winning in this landscape, they have not just adopted a growth-based mindset, but they have learned to embrace the power of a growth-based mindset. And if you are not embracing it in your bar, your restaurant, or your hotel, you're going to get left behind. You have to make that shift, and you have to begin making that shift today. No excuses. You have to readjust your views on change. You have to be proactive instead of reactive. You have to map out the risks and the rewards associated to that change or that level of required action, and you have to have contingency plans in place. Those with growth-based mindsets embrace challenges. They persist through obstacles, and they learn from criticism. They embrace collaboration, even with their competitors, and they lead through example, and they communicate openly, and they are inspired by the success of others. Can you honestly put your hand up and say, yes, I do that for each of those? With the growth based mindset, we can acknowledge our failures and find inspiration to keep improving and to keep making decisions to take action. Listen, your competitors, they are out there and they are making badass decisions that are pushing their business or even the industry forward, even if they're facing some of the exact same challenges that you are. Even the absolute best in business still have challenges surrounding labor, increased cost of goods, marketing challenges, all of the exact same challenges that you likely do. They're not immune to these challenges. So what's the difference between a restaurant, for example, that's generating 5% profits and one that's generating over 15 to 20% profits? The ones that are winning are taking action. Your competitors are taking action every single fucking day. It's time for you to as well. You have to fight the risk of inaction. And if you have clarity in your business and if you plan wisely, you can take action confidently. And then that right there is when you will see a return on your time, your money, or your resource investment. But first, you need to act. Now, let's continue this conversation over on LinkedIn. Let's talk about the decisions that you need to make right now. Let's measure the result of not taking any action. Give me a follow and search for the episode Risk of Inaction, or search #Hospitality Reinvented, and then add your thoughts to the comment section on any of those channels. I appreciate you taking the time to check out this first, official episode of Hospitality Reinvented. We can only grow the audience and the community if we all like and share it. If this episode helped shift your thought process to begin making decisions and taking action, please let others know. Until next time, keep crushing it.